music has been around for me since 1989. My very first concert, Metallica and Justice for All, the And Justice for All tour, Richmond Coliseum. I was 13 years old. My sister told my mom that she was taking me to a bluegrass concert, and I was supposed to be going horseback riding. And she said, "Put your Ride the Lightning shirt on." And I was like, "Okay." So we end up at the Richmond Coliseum, standing in line. I haven't put two and two together at all, and I see a lot of headbangers around, and I'm like, so there's a lot of headbangers at this bluegrass show. So she puts the ticket in my hand. She's like, "Do not lose it." So I didn't even look at it. I was like, "Okay." She's like, "Well, look at your ticket," and it was Metallica with the Cult opening. And this is when Matt Sorum was actually playing drums for the Cult before he joined Guns N' Roses. And I was absolutely blown away by the show. Complete and utter mayhem from start to finish. I actually got to meet the Cult that night. I met Matt Sorum that night.
Really?
My very first live rock concert, and I met them. And they said, "Man, you're spoiled. You're going to be spoiled for the rest of your life because you're not going to get to meet everybody every single time." But and she, my sister was like, "Yeah, it's my little brother, man. He wants to play guitar, man." And, and they kind of, that whole entire experience and those guys telling me, "Hey, if you want to do it, just go for it." And that birthed everything. And ever since then, 13 years old. And I dabbled in it in high school. I got away from it a little bit outside of high school. Just because I went directly into the workforce, got married very young, started having a lot of kids. I had 6 children by the time I was 26 years old. So, the actual production side of it kind of took a back seat. The dream was always there. I was always dabbling in it and kind of hoping for a big break, but didn't really understand what my lane was. And then in 2010, out of the necessity of supplemental income, I just decided I'm going to make theme music. I want to be able to do different styles of music. I don't want to be pigeonholed into one genre. And but the pro wrestling space at the time was already sewn up. Like, it was Jim Johnston, CFOs was actually coming on, and the indie scene wasn't what it is today. It wasn't that in 2010. And I was heavily into mixed martial arts. So I just started in MMA, creating music for independent and regional amateur fighters up and down the East Coast, and just networked and it continued to snowball. So a year after I started, my music was being played in the UFC. And then that kind of compounded into working on theme music for World Series of Fighting on NBC Sports. And then it was the actual theme song for NBC Sports. And I helped launch the audio brand for the Invicta Fighting Championships, the all-women fight league that's still going today. And then in 2016, as that market started to kind of dry up a little bit, I noticed how big the independent wrestling scene was. And I just basically started over again. And between 2016 and 2019, I created close to 300 themes for wrestlers in and around the U.S. and the U.K. and Germany. And then in 2019, AEW was founded, and I kind of felt it inside that the gig was mine. And mind you, I was still working in retail full time the entire time. So I was able to make that transition away from retail in mid 2019 to join AEW full time, and it's been lightning speed ever since.
Awesome. How did it feel to probably regrettably tell your boss that peace out, it's been real, but heading to AEW full time?
Dude, let me tell you, 25 plus years in retail, there were days where I was just like, I really hope that I'm working towards something bigger, because I can't do this forever. Like, my body was physically starting to break down, and there was a lot that was happening at the very, very end of it. So, like, the transition couldn't have happened at a better time. So, but when that call came in and the decision that my wife and I made that I was going to leave retail and do this, I didn't just put in a 2-week notice. I stayed on. So I joined AEW May the 1st of 2019 officially. I'd signed my contract in April of 2019. My official start date was May 1st, but I didn't leave my retail setting until August of that year. So we had a lot of things in place. There were people that I was helping to get promoted. There was other people that I was helping to get
That's cool.
transferred and things like that. So I didn't want to leave any stones unturned, and I didn't want to leave anybody hanging. I stayed on and did both until it was time for TV, for Dynamite to launch. So, they had a 3-month notice. I gave them a 90-day notice that I'd be out.
That's a testament to your character, though. I mean, that's, you don't leave them hanging. You don't just like, I'm out of here, see you later. That shows that you truly care. And that's got to be surreal. And it's interesting too. What did you keep telling yourself, or did Mrs. Rukus keep you motivated? Because it could get, I know that a lot of times, a lot of creators, they get bummed out if they're constantly doing the grind and nothing's panning out. Sometimes they have no idea what's right around the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been an absolute blessing to have my wife there, and she's always been kind of the driving force.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, for me, when you're in the middle of it, especially with the ADHD and attention deficit, I can multitask, and I was loving it. But at the same time, when you're in the midst of working 60 hours running a retail store, and then
mm-hmm.
working and taking on different independent projects, and then you're scoring films, and then you're dealing with life stuff. You've got kids that are graduating from high school, and you've got others that are coming up from middle school into high school, and you've got in-laws that are moving in and things like that. You don't realize that you're burning yourself out in the process.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you don't realize until it's too late. So I had reached right towards the end, in like maybe December of 2018. I started to kind of rationalize just giving the music up altogether. And this is after, 8 years of really like nose to the grind, independent, like freelancing nonstop. And I had a queue of people, that I had a queue of clients that I would work down and always be looking ahead. I almost walked away from all of it. And luckily Mrs. Rukus was there to kind of like give me a little bit of shaking baby and say, hey, like, there's a bigger cause that you're working towards. You got to stay with it. You can't. And she just said, if you give this up, you'll never be at peace.
Yeah. Catch new episodes of Mental Health Mondays every Monday morning at 7 a.m. Start your week off with a smile and some inspiration.